you sign the
I can do that.
after the extra did, yep. And then you still got it.
Bylaws.
And it's
We
three.
took a look with me the other night, they want to make a couple changes, we sent them around. There's just one word, the bylaws shall, on item 12, and then the other one, he wanted the size of the sign.
So we're straight on. We're straight on. It sounds like we're almost there.
Oh, that was quite a few. So I dated them for tonight, we can either approve them or whatever. They wanted to take out, Jeff wanted to take out the alcohol establishments, number 9, that was changed. I think the size of the sign from 2 where, that was it. Wanted letters required for notification and publication. That was the only changes. We made. So I'll make it- I'll run it through here real quick. Whatever.
The Russells.
Public hearing. There's a manual, it's just doing a flow from the wall. That should be pretty quick. And then I'd like to get these bylaws finished. Then I think I'll do. And then I want to do Travis. It'll be, I'll do the 73 one. The one that currently has the last couple of.
Probably do all three of those. That were not on
Right.
one standard.
What I had. Yeah, done. Okay. That's 200. Okay. That's a 73. No. Original
Hey, Ernest, if someone wants to talk to your Zoom and they put their hand up, and you don't
Just
see
let us
it,
know.
I'll just hold mine.
Okay.
That sounds good.
That's a good way. We're gonna make a little announcement about the chat. We don't really want to speak up.
I think I disabled it.
Oh, okay.
So I got my instructions and I followed them and hopefully that will work.
Travis will go.
And I'm going to be finding.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
agree with her.
Oh my gosh, there's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, I know, this is
but that has, what I did, I combined applications, 1, 3, and 4. That all has to do with that law.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So that's one package. I spent a couple hours this morning organizing
Yeah,
this
no,
stuff.
it seems great.
This is, these are
I wish I
the,
could videotape just so I find it. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find it somewhere online. That was epic.
I think I got
Such a
it.
good idea.
I mean, from the one.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot.
I'm assuming that was a friend.
Give a favor, Crystal.
Yeah.
Let me see if I got it first. I made a bunch of copies of the performance. This is in there. Look for my folders home. Let me just forget real quick. I have enough. That's, if you want to follow along with that.
That one or the new ones?
This is the performance standards, that's just so they can follow along.
Yes.
I'll be keeping it, it'll be the same for all of them. You want one, you can have one.
I'd like one to look at one.
Sure, I made about 12.
I never watched it.
My printer going this morning. Okay. The performance standards I gave you the other day, I think I missed a couple pages. I've got to follow along.
And we're live,
Okay. We do this, somebody, so I'll ask if one vote. That's it, because we have a motion, vote on it, and somebody say second. Then I usually say, is there any other questions? Even though we've already discussed it, then we will. Okay. Just to.
Mine from the other day.
Yeah, 4 pages.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Just so you follow along.
Letter from Jane, letter from Peter O'Brien.
I think I ended up with another copy too. because of the-
Okay. I need to check it too. I'll get you one, Captain. Need to grab me one.
You want one?
Cindy, what? Thank you. When you make a comment tonight, just make sure you, just say your name and where you live. You know. Is there anybody from the solar farm here tonight? Okay. Anybody on Zoom from the solar farm? Okay. How this work tonight, we're gonna have a public hearing. Then we have a float and ramp for the Harrises. And then we have a little housekeeping stuff with our bylaws. Then the Hendricks will be next. Following then will be Mr. Wilson. We'll start with, he has 3, so we'll do 3 years. Posting up to 5:30 now. If, when you speak tonight, we're gonna do the Hendricks property first, with their 2 tenants. What I'd like you to do, if anybody wants to speak pro on it, they can, or con, I'll do the pros, we'll do the cons, and then I'll ask pro or con, just in case anybody wants to say more, then I'll move on to Mr. Wilson's property. Okay, so it'll be in 5:30, and we'd like to get started. Would anybody like to comment? Pro on the Hendricks tenants down on 131. Yes.
Maybe I can start just so that I can clear up what it is exactly I'm looking for, just in case there's been some speculative worry about a campground. I'm not after a campground. I do not want RVs. I don't want the public coming down for camping or renting camping sites. All I want are 2 sites on a platform that I can use for the guests that reserve more than 1 night at my venue so that they have a place to sleep. If they don't rent more than 1 night at my venue, then they obviously don't need a place to sleep and they won't be using the glamping tents. So far this year, we have 2 or 3 people who need a place to stay. And what I've done is I've just rented them Airbnbs locally. And this would solve for them. And the reason we're doing that is we can't have people inside until our sprinkler systems are done. So I'm looking for a place for them to sleep only, and it would be furnished by me, which is why it's called glamping. I put the beds, I make the beds. I don't need any additional lighting. I have all the lighting that I need. All I would ask for is some temporary lighting that they could have inside, like that could even just be plugged into an extension cord, or we'll call them twinkle lights, maybe just some twinkle lights outside, which are just little tiny globes.
Okay.
So that's all what I'm looking for. So I'm clearly pro glamping tents. That's all water for you.
Any other people want to speak in favor? Yes?
Hi, I'm Karen Russell, I live at 229 St. George Road. I just want to say I'm for, our property's right next door to saltwater fields, and I'm here to represent 4.
Butter. Anybody else? Yes.
I am Daniel Hendricks, Jimmy and Tina's nephew. I own property across the street. And I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of glamping sites.
Okay. Any other pros?
I'm John Hendricks, and I'm in favor of glamping as well.
Okay. Anybody opposed to these glamping tents? Okay, now,
Elizabeth Filchi, 297 St. George Road, I'm a butter to the property. I'm not specifically opposed to the glamping tent, that's all that it is. I would like to renew my concerns about the dust. I know there was some effort made at maybe 2 events ago to sprinkle, spray something on the road, but it still is a significant concern. And there's a lot back there.
okay, thank you. Anybody else like to speak opposed? Okay, anybody pro or con?
I'm sorry, I'm here late.
Yeah.
Public comments, is this on saltwater fields?
This is a public hearing, yes. Yes,
So
all
would
up
now
here.
be the time to,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed prior comments.
that's okay.
But I would just like to say I'm Angela Johnson, and I'm a taxpayer in South Thompson. I grew up here, lived here my whole entire life, and that I am definitely in support of what they're trying to do. And I feel like the town of South Thompson, we should be doing everything we can to support businesses. You know, they've done it in a classy way. They've built a beautiful building. We had a celebration of life there for my dad. It was wonderful. It's a very classy structure. And I know whatever they're trying to do with the clamping, that it will be done tastefully and done right. And I understand it's to be near the barn, not to be down on the waterfront, and only to be used for events, if I understand this right, only to be used for the wedding guests. They're
This
not
is
gonna
gonna,
rent it out.
this will be an individual private
Yeah,
campsite.
they're not gonna
Not-
rent it out.
Not, there won't be campers and
There won't be a
just
campground.
so everybody knows, it's for 2 tents
Yeah,
on a platform.
and they're not gonna rent it out. And
Right.
I don't know if you guys know anything about glamping. I didn't, but it's glorious camping. And it's something that a lot of people like to do these days. And it's something nice that they can offer for their environment. So I just wanted to say, I'm opposed as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments on the Hendricks project? Okay. The next public hearing I'd like to address, there's 3 places that belong to Mr. Wilson. One, we'll start with he has some property down on Route 73. Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to comment on the Hendricks? We just finished, but I can give you time. No?
No.
Okay. Mr. Wilson proposes to move his business at some point down to Route 73, where the cell tower is, back in there. Do you want to give the folks a little background on the plan down here?
Yep, yeah, we just, actually, the day of the last planning board meeting closed on large chunk of land down, behind Harmony Bible Church that we're actually in the process of clearing right now and to move our whole business to, that's at, the intersection of Elm Street and Bartlett Lane currently.
Okay,
So that's our goal within, as soon as we can, move down there and get out of where we currently are.
would anybody like to speak in favor of Mr. Wilson's proposal to move his business to, I think it's, what was it, lot?
At 9, lot 11.
Yeah, map 9, lot 11. Any, no? Anybody opposed? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Bill Erickson. I don't own the lot one removed from here is the south of him. And I'm concerned. I purchased the property to put a home on. And if I know it was going to turn commercial, I have to go purchase the property. And I hear that he's doing more than just moving his business. It's going to be storage buildings and a whole lot of other items down there.
There is some other things there. 1 second here.
His explanation was not speak, so he's just gonna move his business, but it's totally a whole lot of.
You're right. Okay.
You want to just explain this?
Yeah, we're planning on, potentially putting up storage buildings. There, we don't have a full plan yet, but we would like.
Currently, that is not on the storage building is not on this.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
He's got one in there for the storage facility.
It should be the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just,
Mr. Eric, what's the map and lot for your property?
that's what,
The property that I own says lot 17, lot 20 is acreage between my property and his. The gentleman who just purchased lot 20 bought it for the sake of really retaining the original character of the property there. He didn't intend to ever use it.
okay, you're on the Grayson Road, right?
On one, no, on one set, right on 73.
Could you mind stepping up there, just show me what the lot is yours?
379, certainly.
Is it on this map? This is the property we're talking about.
No, it's on an adjacent map. Do you have that?
I have to, I don't know if they are, but it's one of them.
That's one I have.
It's-
Do you need a different map?
Your property is map
This is on that
9.
side.
It's,
Anyway,
it's across from the Monroe's.
So that would be this one. 4 here, and that 4.
This is the Grayson Road.
church, this property we're talking about is here.
Yeah, and that's
This,
the church.
this property right here.
Okay, here's where he's gonna be is up in here. Okay,
Just a football field away from where I am.
okay.
And this gentleman here, I would like to know if he's been notified or he responded. He's a
He has
local-
not responded, but he has been notified.
I mean,
You got a
you
letter
might
too.
know him by name. I don't know him. I haven't met him, but
Steve Supler.
Okay.
He-
yeah, I heard of him.
he'd be quite concerned because he bought that land to preserve it, not to have it developed.
Okay. Any other opposition to that land?
So there's 2 maps cited here. Did we see what 2 maps are?
Right now, we're dealing with lot 11,
Right now, we're just talking about map 9, lot 11.
map 9, lot 11.
So that's the land behind the Harmony Bible Church off Route 70.
Do you want to speak to that one?
No.
Okay. Any other comments, pro or con? Go ahead, sir.
I'm Christopher Kirk. I'm 353 Spruce Head Road. And I'm just curious what kind of environmental assessments have been done, if he's gonna put, you know, I'm all for business in South Thompson, he wants to move his business there. But storage units and growing other things there, there's a whole ecosystem back there of, you know, animals, all kinds of animals you can see. And there's wetlands back there too, I mean, not this year, but you walk back there in any normal year. And it is wet back there.
Okay. We'll be taking that up during performance standards as well.
And if is storing a lot of heavy equipment, what about like gas leaks or fluid leaks that leak into the environment back there? That whole bog system.
Okay, thank you. Did you have another question, sir?
Yes, one of my other concerns was the square footage, how many square footage of the storage buildings with rooms to run off all the water off to one area rather than the natural absorption that we have now. Because I do have wetland on my property and I don't need it any wetter than it is. And as far as the grading of the driveways and the parking areas, I just would like to know what's being done, like this gentleman just spoke to. The impact on.
Well, the building, that's actually a separate building permit, but he's looking up to 80,000, you said, square foot building out there?
Potentially.
Potentially,
Well, several separate buildings.
okay. And then, you're looking for under 60,000 square feet of exterior storage on a gravel pad. And then downward facing lighting.
All of this would have to be met with a permit through DEP.
Right.
For water runoff retention plant. Which would be done by an engineering company like Erlen Dorsey, who does all of our stuff.
Okay. Any other questions pro or con on the 73 site? Okay, let's move to the current business on Bartlett Lane, and that is basically going to be expanding the workforce from 8 to 20.
Yeah, just bringing our current permit up to snuff until we move.
Let me just get everything, make sure everybody hears it.
And actually, we're at like 12 employees right now. We have no plan on hiring any more anytime soon.
Just read you the quick list over there. So this is 110 Elm Street, right? Okay. They want to use the existing building they have, existing garage, existing lot size, approximately 1 acre. They have an office with 3 employees. Existing lot behind the office to be used for parking trucks, trailers, equipment. Areas on the lot to be used for material storage as well. Up to 20 employees. Operating hours to be Monday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Currently have 13 employees, it says here, 20 trucks, 20 pieces of heavy equipment, currently 10 pieces of landscape equipment, currently 10 trailers. Construction business sign up front would be a 4x5 sign. And any lighting will be placed downward facing and up to 5 poles facing away from 73. In his previous permit, he already had lighting allowed there. I can't remember how many, I think it was, I have it here.
It was like, it said like up to 3 light poles.
3 light poles, that'd be expanded to
Putting
2.
any light poles there anyway.
You don't, okay. All right. And the previous permit was issued, that was, when he started his business there, that was R1 zone. So that was changed to, that area was changed, not this last town meeting, but the town meeting before. The maps were changed in that area. So it is now the village zone. Okay, so when anybody that lived there more than 2 years was in basically an R1 or zone, or R2, whatever it was. So it was allowed use when he started there, and originally he had a storage materials. Some screening required, owner must comply with federal, state, local regulations. Tobacco permits to operate, septic review, more than 8 employees. Signs permitted, view Route 73, 4x5, illuminate or accent lights. Usually they're just the lights that shine up from the ground. Operate now at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, with all hours for incidental material pickup such as sanding, salting, plowing. So we allowing that at night and weekends. Light permitted, only 3 fixed poles, no more than 15 feet high, downward facing. Hooded lights must operate with motion detectors. Follow main to main the egress point of the business. If the business reaches 20 cents, this can be renegotiated. So the board at that time, I wasn't the chairman, he has the option to renegotiate his current business. Okay, that's what we're doing tonight. Okay, any people want to speak for this? Basically, bringing him up to current, I guess, level of operation that he has right now there. Anybody opposed? Okay, I'll come in. Right in front of Ted.
Noise is earth vibrate,
Right,
and that's primary from the Bartlett and Elm location. One of these 2 permits was to expand that, or the gym master.
well, wait a minute now, we're just talking about the right side of the road as you drive in.
Okay, let's wait for that.
Okay, we'll talk about the other.
But the other one, it sounds like a business that you just described there, industrial site. Doesn't sound like a neighborhood.
Well, according to our ordinances, his business, you have to manufacture stuff to be an industrial site or mining or things like that, like digging a pit, gravel pit type thing. That's is not allowed.
Pretty close.
Well, storage of materials on your own land in South Thompson, you can actually do it anywhere.
This is quite a bit of storage here.
Right, but I'm just saying that there's no ordinances against that. Okay.
It's right inside the sign that says village area, but where that means. Notice the sign.
That's more restrictive,
Okay.
but we have other businesses in the village area that are greater than 10,000 square feet.
Small businesses are behind it.
No, they're greater than 10,000 square feet. They're big, they're bigger.
This is big business.
Okay,
Just to clarify, the ordinance that was changed restricts that size of business to 10,000 square feet in the village area. But since Mr. Wilson's business has been there for far longer than that ordinance has been in effect, he's not subject to that at this moment. For that particular lot, he is across the street and he's,
we'll be discussing that as well.
Yeah.
Anybody want to address Con on the right side of Bartlett Road going in? Yes, sir.
Yes, so when I bought the house at 118 Elm Street, it was a small business. The business wasn't anywhere near the size that it is now. It was a reasonable business for a neighborhood, doing landscaping, snow plowing.
Right.
And, good for Travis, his business has grown, he's done well. But there's really little consideration given to neighbors. The parking lot was put, the employees were outside of our kitchen door. And when you hear guys coming in the trucks and the radios, the chatter. And by the nature of the business, the kind of work that's being done. There's early mornings, some trucks starting up, just idling, slamming dummies, backup alarms, early in the morning, 6-7 days a week. So I bought a home in the village and read what that's supposed to mean. And now basically our peace and quiet has been taken away. We can expect to be woke up, on any day of the week, 6:30, 7 in the morning. And I have no beef with Travis, I don't have anything with Senator Susan. I think it's really inappropriate. But to allow that to continue, it's also, debris coming into our yard, onto our property. now and then after the storm, dust comes from the equipment. Everything that goes along with a kind of industrial business. So it's very disturbing to us. And I don't know what it's done to our properties out there. So we now have, mounds of dirt around the edge of our property.
I'm trying to, let me see, so you have the map of that again? Have it somewhere. It's in the folders here. This map is
118. You said 118 Elm Street, is that correct? That's just towards Buttermilk Lane from Bartlett, 2 houses. On the left, going toward Rockland.
One, two, that.
Right next to the Wilson.
The office.
Yeah, right next to the office. Yeah, I see you there.
That's the. Okay. Okay, well, next door. Anybody else like to speak? Con? Anybody speak pro or con? Mr. Wilson? On that project? Okay. The last one is the area to the, I guess you're driving in Bartlett Lane, be the left side, is requesting 100 by 100. Use on 100 by 100, which is allowed in the village area for his truck storage and material storage as a commercial site. So anybody want to speak pro on that? Anybody want to speak con on that?
That's the area,
Sir?
that's the area I was talking
Oh,
about.
somebody up there.
Turn, it's the, my comment, or my,
No, that's just somebody appearing on Zoom. You have the floor.
okay.
Go ahead.
That noise is very loud. Like he said, we can expect that almost every morning,
Okay,
to wake up to that. And it goes on practically all day. So, yeah.
okay.
I don't know what to say. It's very loud. The trucks going, the tailgates banging. And parked trucks there, it's unsightly and it's just not a neighborhood.
Okay. All right, and any others? Yes.
Are we all understanding how much growth we're talking about in this business? He's coming up to 73, gonna move his business soon. Why is he developing more property in town?
He's entitled to make a request to the planning board, like anyone would be. That's why, sir.
Intent is, should be understood. I think we all should understand what is going to happen.
Well, he's stated that he's got an application in for down on 73 for some more of a R1, was it R, what was that down there? R1 there, and that's an allowed use in that area. Okay. Pardon me?
Why are we doing this?
You might be best equipped to speak to that, Travis.
Yeah, because we outgrown our permit and code enforcement officer of the planning board has asked for us to come up with our current permit. It's just not, I don't care about these two permits. I care about the new property, but they would like the permit to reflect what's currently happening on the site. I want to move to the new property as soon as possible and not be that Bartlett Lane.
What time frame are we looking at?
I don't know, I'm checking my phone. Like,
Sure.
I'm trying to clear property and get things moved down there currently. Because
Are we talking a year, 2 years, or what?
in a year, we won't be where we're at currently, except for the office use. I mean, I'm in a couple months for trying to get things moved out there. It just takes time, money, and a permit.
Does that help people?
We do not want to be where we currently are. We understand the impact that our business has on the village. We're trying to move to the middle of the woods. What we're trying to do.
What kind of materials are gonna be stored there? Is there gonna be like fueling stations, or are you just storing like mulch and gravel and wood and stuff?
There'll be gravel and dirt and loom and probably a fueling station. And we're gonna have a shop there that we're gonna work on our equipment, and everything's gonna meet DEP standards.
How big of a fueling station will it be?
Don't know yet.
You'd have to put an application in with the code officer at that time, when he gets ready to build.
For the fuel specifically? I mean, there's, the state regulations are always gonna be more strict than the town.
Yeah.
The town.
Yeah.
We don't regulate fuel, this planning board does not. Maybe the selectmen do. We don't regulate the fuel, you know, what kind of size fuel tank you have at your house or at your business. You know, I understand you worry about ground contamination and habitat and stuff like that, but
Well water.
well water, yeah. So it all have to be protected. A lot of the trucks, companies, I think a lot of them fill up at stations to just avoid that. You know, but certain times you may need fuel on a holiday or on at night or something if they're plowing, you know, I don't know, whatever the reason is. You know, that's another hoop that they have to jump through when the time comes for that.
There's also a lot of people that recreate on Route 73, albeit I would never ride my bike on that road. But with more and more trucks going in and out,
I would petition the selectmen to maybe widen the shoulder on that road. Because state road, whatever the state, you know, kind of like down near the airport or something. I know, I live on that road too, so I know exactly what you're saying about, there's a couple kids out there.
you got two kids.
They're running around all the time down there, so you gotta be careful down there. Now, from the actual Route 73, your site is about how far off the road? Just curious.
We're planning on having a stockyard. It's probably 1,300 feet off the road.
1,300 feet.
Our office will be probably 60 feet off the road. And then our shop will be another 500 feet off the road, but
There's already a cell tower out there now.
yeah, it'll be beyond that.
Is that lock gate right beside the church?
Existing road out there, sir. Okay, hearing none. Any other questions, pro or con, about the property across on the left side, the 100 by 100?
That's part of the lane.
By the lane again, sorry. That's what we're talking about.
Only gets that.
Okay, and I'll give everybody one more chance. Any questions on any of the properties that we've talked tonight? That people are coming late or just getting here today? Any other pro or con statements? Yes, sir.
When is the final determination made by whom? If this goes forward?
This will be done by the planning board, and we will probably look at the performance standards tonight. If they're complete, then it gets approved. If it's not complete, then they'll have to come back in September for the next meeting. If we find things that we have questions about, have answers, questions we want to answer.
When does the public have a chance to?
You can speak at the planning board meetings. We have a public comment session. And then if this goes into next month, you'll be able to comment on it again. All right,
Is that tonight?
as I said tonight, yes.
That goes the same thing for saltwater fields, that planting, then
We're gonna do all of them tonight. Okay? So, any other comments at all? Okay, what I'd like to do is move on to the Mr. Harris. As a float and dock he'd like to install.
So I would say that, just to clarify, that concludes the public hearing.
That concludes the public
Move to
hearing.
the regular planning board meeting.
Moving to the regular, that's right, moving, regular planning board meeting now.
However, we won't foreclose the right for people to speak
Oh,
during
no,
the application, right?
Oh, no, no, no.
Don't leave just because it's closed.
that's all. We just gotta get through some of this, agenda. Okay, what I'd like to do is move to the, Paris project, and maybe they could speak to that, or
It's on Zoom.
on Zoom.
Hello. Hi, my name's Devin Prock with Permitting with Prock, and we submitted the application on behalf of Chad Harris, and I can sum it up real quick. The project would take place on map 2 of lot number 69, which is in Seal Cove, and it's the proposed installation of a 10, I gotta make sure I said the size correctly, 10-foot by 20-foot seasonal float and a 3-foot by 50-foot seasonal gangway. And he's already got a dock on the property. It's been there for a long time, and he just now would like to add a seasonal dock and ramp to allow access for people for swimming and kayaking and stuff, which would be easier than trying to skate down the rocks. He can go down on the ramp, which would be much safer for him. So that's pretty much the gist of the project.
Okay, this is for, personal use, not commercial.
Right,
Right.
personal.
Personal use. Did the board see the location and so forth? We
I
had
don't
that.
have any documentation.
I saw it. I came in the office. but I'll have to go.
I didn't see that.
We have it. It's a float, just a ramp. No.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No performance standards with this, it's just a look at it. Need to look at it. It's here, the float is this is all, you got your DEP permit, and you, others have been, the,
We have the Army Corps of Engineer permit, and the DEP told us that they don't need where it's seasonal, they don't need a permit for that, and it comes underneath the it's well under the square footage required for a submerged land lease.
okay. Just give us a minute for that, some of that, we have a chance to review it. Just gave it away. Give it back, or gave it in the copy.
It's easy. Stay.
50 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, you know what it is, copy?
Oh, you said Alan, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wasn't there one?
It's 269.
The
Map 2,
other side,
169.
yeah, so my point is, are they, like the waterways, like one coming this way, one coming that
I
way?
think the one's on, you go down the bridge there, one will be on the right side there, and then the other one's on the.
That's the guy for the one we're talking about.
Right, I think the other one was over here, yeah, over here now. Well, let's show her, we'll take a look at it, show her, she's curious about that. I don't think it'll stand out that far.
The 50 feet, I mean, isn't much, it's not that, that's much longer than 50 feet.
Okay. Yeah, we just had a request for another dock in the nearby property, so I was wondering whether we were going to have like a crisscrossing of docks, but no, there is plenty of them.
Oh, yeah. Understand your concern, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Go back here. Go up. And the reason why we're looking at this is because it goes down below the high watermark.
Below the high water mark.
Yeah, the Army Corps approved it. Now, the applicant will make you notify the abutters?
Yes, we
Yep.
did.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any
Is any-
butters here?
Are there any butters here that'd like to make a comment on this property? Here, somebody like to make a motion to approve Chad Harris's dock? Any second?
Second.
Catherine, second. Any further discussion on this float ramp? Okay. Call for vote. Kathleen?
Aye.
Katie, aye. Aye.
Aye.
4 favor, 0 opposed. Okay. So I'll write a letter to them to say that they can go forward with your dock.
Thank you.
You got to unmute it.
The application for the private thing.
Never mind.
Thank you.
Yeah, private tier. The selectmen looked at our bylaws the other night at the select board meeting. I think I sent them around. There was one change on paragraph 12 of bylaws. They wanted the shall removed. I think it was like near the end of the page. You need some? Okay. It's bylaws, let's see. I know we've done this a lot, so it's confusing.
That we have.
Okay. Number 12, I think it says on this line here, what do you say? The amendment, after having been considered, final written form by 2 regular or special meetings, the board becomes, shall become effective. They want it becomes effective upon adoption by a majority vote of the board.
Okay.
So that was changed there. And then on the amendment page, there was a question about the size of the sign. So that would be, so that was designated, the size of the sign must be at least 2 feet square, but no larger than 4 feet square. So if we have a project in South Thomas, and we like to put the sign saying what your name, what your project is, so forth. Okay, this hasn't been approved by the selectmen, so it's not, 11 should be large enough to be viewed in town roads.
Yep.
So then we moved on down, we had commercial industry construction greater than 10,000 square feet. We require letters of notification. Site disturbance of 2 acres or greater, including building site access road. Okay, that also. Then on the bottom, there's 1 through 9. Number 9 was eliminated because it had to do with establishments serving alcohol. That's approved by the selectmen. So we went back to 8, and then they wanted it to read basically propose occurring any of the following require letters of notification and a public hearing. And wondering what these are: structures greater than 10,000 square feet, junkyards, mineral exploration, campgrounds, motels, large solar farms, mobile home parks, and industrial uses. So these were never required to have any type of really much of, they could or could not have a public hearing. Now this isn't an ordinance, this is just the planning board bylaws that we will be requiring some of this stuff. Okay. Eventually, if they have an ordinance committee, they may make an ordinance that kind of mimics this. Okay, and then there was a question on abutters, so that was also changed to nearby property owners. And there's a little question about the application that may be received within the 72 hours of the Thursday meeting. And that was kind of corrected so that what it said was a complete review, so that's just a review. So we just can look at those. If somebody comes in and they say, you know, I missed my deadline and they wanted us to just look at the project, we can do that. Okay, but then that will be done at the, actually it'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. I think everything else is the same. I just check the last page. And that's the same. So what I'd like to do is vote on this one more time before it goes up to the selectmen again for their review. They have a copy already.
And it includes all the amendments we had put in last time regarding.
Yeah, take a quick look. Sure.
The agenda.
The agenda, yes, that's in there. And just put the changes that they changed that they wanted at the 9th meeting on the 9th.
I don't see it here.
Yeah, it's on the, in the back.
Hmm?
I got it all together. For you. You get way up there. Okay, number 2. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. You want to look at it anymore?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll send this back to the selectmen. Okay, we'd like to entertain a motion to approve these planning board bylaws and the amendment to the bylaws. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Make a motion,
I'll
second. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, let's, Kathleen, we'll vote. Okay,
Aye.
aye. Okay, 4-0 for the bylaws. They can review them, and they have them on the agenda already for the next meeting. Okay, now let's do Hendricks. So this is, we've had a public hearing for the tents. We've had, the neighbors have been notified. And you'd like to add anything? Good,
No.
okay, I think that's explained pretty well. So basically what we're looking at, I don't know if the public wants to see, it's 2 of these tents on a platform beside their building. I don't know if you can- Not a campground, it's just a, see that picture, it's a tent. And where they'll be placed, this is the main building here. And we had the platform, a real small square right next to it. So it's kind of faces the field on the other side. Okay. I do have a letter from Mrs. Hilchi, email, and I also, she said tonight that she wasn't opposed to it. Just the dust.
I think that was from Jane Carter.
Well, I have another one from Mrs. Jane Carter. She also is not opposed, so she's another close nearby neighbor of that property. Like I said, this is not a campground, this is a private campsite. That there'll be, and I just want to let you know that I think in the ordinance, it's limited to 10 people for a private campsite, so it's 10 people. Okay, and I would say roughly each one. That makes sound sensible. And then you can't occupy it. I think it's more than 7 days. If you have a 7-day period, right, you can,
Yeah, I
can
think,
more than 7 days. You involved in
yeah, I think
that
not more than 7 days.
at a time.
in a row.
Then you have to have a break,
Okay.
okay? So we want to let you know that.
I think it's 120 days a year.
120 days a year, okay, no longer than a 7-day stay. And when you said 10 people, is that per tent? or
Yes,
is
I would
that-
say per tent.
Okay, that's more than what I need, but
So I interpret that as per site. The
10
the
people,
10 people.
okay, but she's,
You were asking for 12, correct? 12
Right.
people.
total.
Total,
There
okay.
was a little bit of a discussion about whether we wanted to treat this as an individual private campsite or treat it as part of the, like, an accessory use, I guess, of the commercial venture. If it is an individual private campsite, I don't actually think it doesn't need to come before the planning board at all. Let's check that.
I think it does because it's a commercial.
It's part of the commercial
Yeah, so it's-
endeavor, you
So
know.
it's an individual private campsite owned by a commercial endeavor.
Yeah.
Therefore, we review it, so we review it as an individual private campsite, not as a campground.
Right.
And technically, I'm asking for 2.
They're on the same platform,
But. could be
Yes,
total.
have you seen this?
Yeah, you have my copy.
20 by 40 platform, which is allowed by the towns. It's not so much.
I was trying to figure out in comparison to the area of the barn, that's less than a quarter of the, how big is the barn?
The barn measures 55 by 84.
By 84.
Yes.
Okay, so it's good, yeah,
It's quite small.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not overpowering.
I only made the platform big enough to hold the tents, just so they're up off the ground. There won't be extra.
And the tent and the platform, and the tents will be within the side of the barn, so they
Correct.
won't be visible from the other side.
Correct, right.
But they will be visible from the
Yeah, from
road.
the front, from here, you know.
Yeah.
But just to give an idea of perspective and size, you know, relative size.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a tough one to apply under the table, but I would still treat it as an individual private campsite. Because where a type of use is specifically called out in that table, and that happens to be the use that's in front of you, you do look at that before you then fall back on the general commercial.
Yep.
Otherwise, in theory, somebody could have a whole campground within the site and then still say, oh, but it's part of our commercial use.
Yeah.
So
They're
that's how I would
limited,
look
they're
at it.
limited to 20 by 40 foot area.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing in this.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, I think just look hard at that definition of individual private campsite and then those performance standards, because it does seem to allow just one campsite per lot. And then that campsite can't have more than 10 people. So if you're calling the one platform the campsite, even though it has the 2 tents, I think that's probably okay, but you'd still have to limit it to the 10 people between the 2 tents,
You're saying 5 and 5.
5 and 5, or it doesn't really matter how they
Yeah.
break it up, yeah.
Or if I built 2 separate platforms, not connected,
Then I think you have 2
then it's 2
private
sites.
campsites.
sites.
Which
2
is,
sites.
which is not allowed.
The water and sewers, that's already there,
Correct.
yeah. But I think it should be this, only one recreational vehicle on a campsite, so there's no recreational vehicle. It's-
No, go down to the individual standards for the private campsite. 15E. So it may be 10,000, or so the way it's worded is 1 campsite per lot. Per lot existing on the effective date of this ordinance, or 30,000 square feet of lot area within the shoreline zone, whichever is less.
Well, so let me look at that.
so we don't have the right, we don't have the right page there.
I had the whole
So it's on
15 land
page
use
18,
standards.
page 18.
shoreline zoning.
Shoreline zone.
This is shoreline, right?
The individual private campsite.
Is it, this campsite will be how far back from the water?
It'll be over 250 feet from the water.
Over
Okay.
250. It's a big,
Over,
big piece of land. down
We
there.
copied that, we have that in our
So
regular
it's in
land use
land use
ordinance as
stuff, yeah.
well. But it doesn't have a restriction for 1 campsite per lot, so technically it could be 2.
I think that's right, as long as it's behind that shoreline wall.
Yeah, the whole, everything that you've built is outside that setback.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that allows us to consider this two individual private
Yeah.
campsites, which would take you to a maximum of, that would be 2 platforms,
Okay,
but it would allow you to have a maximum of 20 people.
okay.
Maybe I don't, have any comments on
No, I think that's okay.
it? Okay,
Yeah, I was under the misimpression that it was insurance.
okay, so today's date is the 18th. I'm gonna start going down to the performance standards on this. And this is gonna be, where is your application? Yes, thank you. You gotta do somewhere. This will be under your name?
Yes.
Okay. The application is gonna be 299 St. George Road.
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna find this, application request specific exempt, special exemption for under land use ordinance. Okay, so that's just, and then number A, this application is gonna be for 2 glamping tents,
Private campsites.
2 private campsites.
Yeah. Here.
Okay. It's in the R 1, 2, 2. R2. Okay. Determine application. Determine to be yes. Yeah, but then it's had all state federal permits, prove they're required. So already no building permit for the platform, or we need a building permit for that platform? Yes. Okay. That will have to be done.
An additional building permit for the platform?
Well, yeah, that's
Okay.
from Dan.
Okay, sure.
Okay. The entrance is already there, from the DOT. There's no need for DEP site review for this. And,
Wildlife, no.
no, okay, I put an A. And any other questions about the site? Yeah. Proposed uses for camping and
Individual private campsite.
individual. Good, okay. Okay. Okay, not to exceed 10 people. Okay. Landowner.
Yes.
Whose name is the land?
Oh, the land is Tina Ann James Hendricks.
Okay. And we have a deed for that.
Actually, let me just check it with my.
You can
husband.
get it to us if we can get that from you.
It might be just in his name,
Okay,
although he's listening, so.
so we have a map.
We already had it for the approval of the bond.
Yeah, we have it. I'll get the map and plot number.
Map 16, lot 44.
Okay, map 16. 44. And I'm gonna use the same address, 299 St. George Road.
Yes, please.
Okay, Okay. And it's in the R1 district,
R2.
R2, excuse me. And I'm just gonna say, build. To We're gonna build 2 platforms, 20 by 40, or 1 platform. 20 by 20, how big do you need them?
So if I need to do 2 separate platforms, each 20 by 20.
20 by 20,
Yeah.
no problem. It's a commercial. Operation, permitted under. Okay, which is the used within the permissible planning board by special example conditional use based on proposed use is the permitted use and the, I guess, R2.
Yep.
Okay. Properties within R2. Land use ordinance findings, compliance dimensions, section C. So we have plenty, you have over 1 acre?
Yes.
Yes. You have, how much land down there?
We have 8 acres,
8 acres.
just under 8.
Other questions? Okay, now that I ask if it's a campground, so it's saying, hey, no. Lights should be shielded, to prevent direct glare joining residential property, public rights of way, so no lights off the property.
Okay.
Okay. Not industrial use. Okay. Off-street be 5 sufficient spaces determined by the plan led to on-street parking. Yes?
Yeah, there are enough,
There's
there are enough parking.
there's enough parking spaces.
Right.
You've got a parking lot.
We do have parking.
It's not an outpatient addiction clinic, so that's 0. Based on the above 5 permit applies, performance standards with no conditions. Okay. Conformance with the comprehensive plan, finds the comprehensive does not recommend any change of zone in this area. Okay, so we're not doing that. Comprehensive plan also does not recommend any change in permitted use in the district, which we're not doing. Permitted. Based on the above findings, the application does not conform to the.
It does conform.
Does conform. Look at that, does circle. Any land use findings that we need to address?
Nope, I think we're just looking through here.
Yeah,
The tents are just used to sleep, right?
Yes.
Everything else is
They
happening.
use the bathrooms in the
Yes, in the
Yes,
building.
there's no
That's where the
happening.
glamping comes from.
Yeah.
okay. That'll be an NA there.
I believe so, yeah.
And the next one. That would be, yes,
I think we can go through
Yeah.
this section 7.
yes,
I would propose that just flipping through here,
It's not applicable.
no,
we don't
purple.
need to go through everything in section 7.
Okay,
Because this is. very
no
simple.
water, there's no
Yeah.
sewer. Okay,
um, Because we're not just worried about vibration, traffic. We already discussed lighting. Lighting's gonna be minimal. There's no mineral exploration.
well, we do have some hours of operation, some of this stuff, maybe we should address that. Same as the other,
I mean, it's overnight, so
overnight.
it would be, I guess, always.
Okay,
It has to be tied to the use of the barn.
Yeah, tied to the use of the barn. Yeah. So maybe write that in. they're talking about hours of operations. Is it acceptable to say tents to be used in conjunction with events at the saltwater field wedding, saltwater field
Yes.
wedding bar? Okay,
That would be perfect.
so let's write, can we write that in? Tents to be used in conjunction with events at the saltwater field facility.
Can only.
Yeah, tents. Oh,
In conjunction with events.
Circle with yes under noise. That's the same one.
Noise,
Will
yes.
not exceed 65 dB at the nearest property line. That's just saying the tents have the same noise restriction as the
As a
as the
facility.
event.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sign, when we make that yes as well, but there's a sign in there, but turn A,
And then I think,
turn A on that one,
not advertising.
okay. So emissions dust on the property line. That would be
Yeah,
yes. May require research, access road, use of water, tenting, mitigate dust, halt operations. This is for
that's the
construction.
construction. No,
And A on that one. Odor, no. Any odor. Vibration,
Excuse me, I couldn't hear what you said about
the dust,
NA.
The
yeah,
dust,
when that's when the building,
the dust,
when you build something, like make
Okay,
dust on your land,
so it's
okay.
referring to just the construction.
construction on that, yeah.
this is the same, subject to the same dust rules as the other building was, which was to keep dust on their own property. That's,
That's
I
what,
believe that's a requirement of both firms.
right now, we've had a pretty hot, dry, some of my roads very dusty too.
It's difficult to
It's
do.
difficult sometimes. There's no rock crushing, so that's an NA. No vibration.
I would also, yeah, fire department access, I think there is adequate access to the parking lot with it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. This one here, roads is good. Good enough. Oh, then they have driveways,
No,
that's it. Okay. Public's gonna be, I'll just read it. Required access to the public will be restricted, controlled, and secure.
Yes.
So you keep your own land, yes. Okay. Professional and safe operation consists with proposed use. Any questions on that?
Do you need a license to host people overnight, a different license than for anything?
if I have people inside the barn, yes. But outside, no.
Okay.
Okay, let's see, fire department's a yes. It's gonna be less than 2 acres, we know that,
Yes.
no fuel or storage or anything like that,
No.
okay? Facility, just, yes, sewage facilities there.
Yes.
You required to comply with all federal, state requirements, any other additional conditions. Whatever the state has requirements, you know, for the town or anybody like that, like you've been through already with the other places. I don't see any problem with this.
Okay.
Is there any other conditions we'd like to add? Okay.
No.
Okay, based on the findings, this is fitting condition of the application under the land use. Okay, now this is time for the vote.
I have a question. Are the tents going to be erected permanently or will they be taken down in the winter time?
Taken down in the winter for sure. And maybe if there's a forecast for a really bad high wind event, we would take it down for that as well.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the 2 glamping tents on a 2 20-foot pads?
I made the motion. Did I
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Any other questions, concerns? No. Okay, now we get to vote.
Yes.
Kathleen, yes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that will be approved. 4 and 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Zero opposed. Obviously. And on the bottom, it says, the South Thompson Land Use Ordinance, Section 4, paragraph B5, permit shall not be denied if the proposed use is found to be in a conformance with the provisions of this ordinance. So it is, so we can't deny it. So what I'll do is I'll get this typed up clean, and then I'll give it to the code enforcement officer, and you're all set.
Okay, so I don't need a secondary permit application to build? The
Is it on this permit? Is this application?
To
I
build
think
the
you,
platform.
I think that,
platform.
well, you might want to just amend it to show 2,
Okay,
and then I think that's satisfactory with you, or? Yeah. Okay. Okay, good luck with your project.
thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Mr. Wilson. We'll start with the Route 73 project. The new one. Okay, we're going to talk about this Route 73, map 9, lot 11. This is the new place that you want to do. So the area is I guess it would be to the right of this cell tower here.
Yeah, well, that's where our stockyard.
Okay.
Can be, and then along the road, we're gonna want to build a,
So these are,
Shop.
these are the buildings that you'd like to install here,
that's for the storage.
storage.
Yeah, and we actually might do something different with, in a little bit different area, but
Okay.
generally the same area. Just a little bit.
The larger building is the shop area,
No,
This is just the storage facility we're looking at right now.
storage facility. Now, you're talking about a storage facility for like rental storage facility? Okay,
What different might you do, just so we know?
yeah, just, well, we're kind of playing with locations where we might put it right here, so it's a little bit easier access off the road, because visibility is better here than up there for.
getting in and out.
Yeah.
So that would mean you'd be
We build
moving
another driveway.
on the other side of the church,
Yeah.
where it is.
On the other side of the, and so there is a gate right now,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So you will do another opening beyond that?
Potentially, yes.
I
We're
guess-
still kind of going over.
Yeah, so I think that we should know before we approve.
Well, that's our plan that we're going for, is on the other side of the church.
Because I think, I don't know,
We'll have to get
we'll
it deep.
discuss a little bit later. But one of the big advantages of this is that it's actually not that visible from the road.
Yeah. Well, the other one will still have tree cover. It won't.
Be
we're not
set-
just
it'll
gonna
set
clear
back.
it. Yeah.
What is the distance, Travis, from this church to this next property line here? I think that's.
I think it's like 350 or 400 feet.
Oh, yeah,
That's a pretty good chunk there.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. All right, well, we can talk about
We're gonna
that.
talk about that in a minute, okay. The other things that you want to address on this one was,
An office building right by the road, and then the stockyard in the back, right? And a shop.
sure. And one thing that was brought up is the wetlands concern. I'm not real familiar with this site, I never walked back up in there. So,
I think
Yeah, we're very far away from the wetlands. So
okay,
And you need to, you'll need to have all that indicated on your
Yes.
DEP permit anyway.
correct.
all right.
When you file that DEP permit application, can you send a copy to the town?
The variance is that I have the map that shows my piece of property, you don't. I can get it from my vehicle, or you can get it, but you should be looking at both sides of the situation. If you're there without all the information you need to consider my property, without having a map.
Can we get that map? Or what map number? is it?
What map is that?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's 10.
Not 10?
Yeah, it's the one that connects to non. That goes further down, yeah, like the window.
It shows map 10 here.
And map 4 here. Here, you can grab 10 and 4.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, while she's doing that, let's take a look at the uses in that area. One thing that I'm trying to figure out here, from his property line to the actual site, the distance. Are we talking, you said it's 13,
To the stockyard will be about 1,300 feet, where the majority of like business operations would be running heavy equipment, stuff like that. So it's
Okay.
about 1,300 feet in the woods from 7-3.
okay, let me look at the usage page here.
What are you looking for?
The usage, allowed uses. I'll tell you that I have it here somewhere.
I think it's all under commercial.
It seems,
Oh,
you know,
commercial.
all looking at one.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, here it is, I found it.
You are map 4, lot 17, sir? 17-1.
Yes. The land that I have, I've confirmed to a lot of the overfalls in town, used to be pasture at one time. The boundary lines are actual standing stone walls that are in the wetland. And I've never, a farmer that put stone walls in a wetland. My concern is when 73 was improved or whatever, did they miss a culvert there, because the land is flooded. They
Yes.
never used to.
They put some culverts in that road that,
And then I'm
they're flooding
curious-
other people's property down there.
I'm curious if the activity with Mr. Wilson is gonna add to that flow that can't cross the road. Is all I'm concerned about.
Okay,
And this will be required by the state to manage the stormwater in such a way that it does not affect neighboring property. So you'll probably, with whatever stockyard you're building, you're probably required to have some kind of
Yeah,
retention
anything
pond.
over 3 acres has to have a stormwater drainage plan.
So that will be, based on this, because of the size of this project, the state will review that. And it can require Mr. Wilson to submit a plan or manage it stormwater.
which?
He's right here. This.
And the area that we're planning on, the stock area is already naturally the highest point anyway. And with the topsoil loss, and going into those spots where there's ledge. We're trying to impact
But anyway,
that.
this is cool.
17.1.
Yes, I did. And that's-
You can see this 22.
No, I understand.
Okay, so that's what we need to say. So basically, this is over, you're one lot over from this lot.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Again, the lot 20, the gentleman that purchased it told me directly, he purchased it just to conserve it so that the town kind of stays the way it is.
Right.
Never intends to go on. I hope someone will know who he is. I haven't met him.
I know, I knew him a long time ago, but I haven't seen him lately. Okay,
So there is a pretty significant wooded buffer between your property and his property. And now we've already discussed that, you know, he's gonna be required to be responsible about the runoff. What were your other concerns?
Everything related to the EP is going to have to satisfy, so. His application has to be approved by the Department of Environmental Protection, so they will review all things concerning the grounds, the water, you know, and things that are of your concern.
we don't regulate that here.
No, I appreciate it. I was just trying to find out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What he's asking for us, what we do is we set conditions with approval, one way or the other, either approve it or not approve it. And the conditions, just like we went through the last performance standard for the town, that's the limitations of our review here. But there will be other things that he will have to do with the code enforcement officer before he can establish his business or whatever.
But perhaps it might be worth mentioning that this gentleman complained about several of the things that the young lady's permit was accepted, but she wasn't gonna have any of that activity on her property, such as, you know.
Right, they're all different, so,
So they're all, what his problem is gonna be moved over to what I would listen to. And I think that should be considered.
it is,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
I would just by way of reassurance, he lives an awful lot closer to Mr. Wilson's current business than you do to his new business.
Well, does the board have any questions, for Mr. Wilson?
I think they'll come up as we go through the list. So,
Okay. Let me pull up the list.
I don't know if we have to make a motion to do this, but I would move to consider all three applications for the single,
Correct. Okay,
the single lot as a single application. So that we can get through it.
right. All pertains to the same land.
Yep.
Okay.
Which means you're gonna have to decide if you want the second driveway or not.
Yeah, that's our plan regardless down the road anyway, so.
We'll make the condition here that you get the proper approvals from DOT for that.
Okay.
Okay. Starting at the top.
Did anybody second that?
We did, we,
Well, go ahead, we can do that.
Okay.
Second
I
that.
made the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other questions or concerns we addressed? Call for a vote. to do the 3 applications?
As one. Aye.
One, aye,
Aye.
okay, thank you, okay.
Sorry, the new facility and the existing facility is one?
This is the new facility here.
Okay.
No, no.
Three separate
Three.
applications for three
Okay.
facilities on one lot, considered as one.
Look at the plans. You need that? I can use this one. I get one. Today's date is the 8th. This will be Travis Wilson.
Yes.
It's gonna be required.
We want to see
I
that
would
first.
prefer that we have that in place, yeah, before we do the review.
Okay,
Do you, okay, so I think that'll make them, I would say with some
it's
time.
condition, is it?
What's your schedule for getting that DEP permit?
That's continued, we're not required to do that until we reach 3 acres of cleared and permeable surface. Right now, we're just trying to clear some land, some source material, and get some equipment and trucks down there. The DEP requirements 3 acres of impermeable surface, which won't take us long to get there, but we're gonna, as soon as we have approval, we're gonna be working with Garland Dorsey, getting as-built plan put together. They can start working on that. permitting, which
What do you think about the DEP prior to any? We can make a condition of, permit.
I mean, the DEP is gonna be months out. We're gonna put an as-built
We understand
plan
that. That's why I'm
together.
thinking it might be better to make that a condition. And then, once that can't, you'll have, once you reach your, whatever the minimum is, maximum is, you'll have to stop till you get that.
So, yeah, anything over 3 acres as far as the stormwater runoff. But
Okay. Now, do you want me to use 33 Violet Lane for the address?
Yeah, that's fine. That's there.
Okay. Okay. So this application is gonna be for. I guess I want, there's 3 applications. On the back, it gives a description of all this stuff.
It says already number 1, number 3, and number 4.
All right, 1, 3, and 4.
Yes, I think we can just call it office, storage complex, shop, and stock yard.
Why don't we use these numbers?
Yeah.
There you
Just
go.
copy that.
Those will be added to it, all these things.
Yeah.
So let's start with number 1. So what I'll say, this is, I guess I could say, code enforcement markers, shop parking and construction of lot, and then exterior storage, inside and exterior storage. Okay, put that as general, but I think we need to kind of include these pages on the back.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Let me just put that down. And then last one was structural law. Let's see. Okay. And what I'll do is, I think we need to kind of go through some of these. Let's start with this shop parking real quick. Well, now let's go on down for this. This is gonna be in the R1 zone.
Yep. R1.
Okay. You need a DOT site determination permit, okay?
Entrance review.
Entrance review, so needed. DEP site review, we need that. Impact on wildlife. Site review, we got impacts.
Probably
MDI,
need that, but I don't know.
I'm not sure about that, if the threshold is on that either. Is it in there?
I think it's in there.
Yeah, okay.
But Charlie Dorsey will know.
Charlie Dorsey will be, we'll need a report from that. If it goes too far along. The proposed use is gonna be an earthwork construction business.
Oh, and storage facility.
Okay. Like I said, this storage facility, that's gonna be similar to you store it, people bring their things there, okay. That will be, is that on this permit?
Yes. That's part of this.
Okay. What's gonna be the size of that building?
Quite large.
Well, it's up to a certain amount. We're planning on several smaller buildings. Actually, we're planning on less than originally were, but we're also thinking about a large building for like boats and RVs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Put into.
I think we probably, we should have dimensions on that. What do you think? On those storage buildings, or you want up to 8?
Well, you go up to 80,000 feet on there.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Maybe say, hey, how big is it?
Yeah, don't you think you need to know where they are? And what
Yeah,
size?
he's got them here, yeah.
But if the dimensions are gonna change, then that plan becomes inaccurate, right?
Yeah, you just said that you're planning to move them. So maybe what we actually need from you is an updated sketch reflecting your intent. Before we can officially approve that part of the use.
Or you could approve this for now, and to the extent the buildings change, just to come to an amendment.
Okay.
That seems maybe.
What this means you're asking for is like one building, 80,000 square feet. Look at this.
I think it's multiples.
Multiples.
Well, I think-
Yeah, it's multiple, like 30 by 100.
We'll go through this and we'll put as a condition that you bring us. You know, when you change it, just come back to us and we'll talk about the.
Oh, yeah, it was my understanding, obviously, we're gonna need the building permit when we go to do that, so that was
Yeah.
my thought process there, but yeah.
Okay. You just purchased the property, so you have a deed to it?
Yep.
And what address are we gonna be calling that?
I don't have the address yet.
All right, we do that. And it's on South Thompson map.
Lot 11.
And, In the R1 district. Again.
Yep.
That was requested to. Same as above. Virtual visit. Same. I'll fix it. Get all this homework. Commercial operation. Which is permitted in by the plan board special exempt conditions based on the above finding. Proposed use is in R2, R1, excuse me. Just here. Land use requirement complies with dimension requirements. It's more than 1 acre. How many acres is the property?
Roughly like 70.
70 total. Not a campground. Okay, lighting shall be shielded, direct glare from adjoining residential property. Public rights of way.
By the woods.
Shielded by the woods. I'll say yes. Okay, not industrial use, it's commercial use, but the stuff will be screened by the woods, trees. Put on that one. Off-street we provided sufficient spaces as determined by the plan for any on-street parking. So,
Yes,
yes, there's going to be no on-street parking.
wouldn't be a great place to do on street parking.
No addiction center. Based on the above findings, proposed permit complies with performance standards and other conditions. So conditions will be
I think that's they're wording on that one.
no.
Just there's no on-street parking.
Okay, comprehensive, the comprehensive plan finding comprehensive does not recommend any change in the zoning area.
It doesn't.
Does not. Okay. Based on the above findings, the applicant does or does not conform to the comprehensive. Well, it does because it's allowed use there.
And moving that business out of the village also conforms to the comprehensive plan, so
Yeah.
it's a win-win in that regard.
Land use ordinance findings.
Yep. So number one there, notice the number two.
Number two. Okay, additional conditions. Planning board may, in order to carry out the proposal of this special exemption, require additional conditions, specifications, criteria, standards necessary to protect the public interest, such fit use harmlessly and compatibly with their neighbors. And locations, such conditions may include but not limited to. Okay, increased setbacks for the use the state of Maine requires. So,
The state of Maine already requires.
the state of Maine requires 6 feet. But you're gonna be
It requires 250 from a body of water.
body water.
We don't need
Roads,
we don't need any additional setbacks.
okay,
But you will need to comply. If you do have wetlands, you'll have to worry, you have to negotiate those setbacks. You do have a well and a septic system, correct? In this plan for the.
Yeah.
We will, yes.
okay, so we're gonna say, okay, well, yes. Yes, water pit.
In terms of capacity of that septic system, how many employees are you looking for at this?
In the office, because we'll have a septic system for the shop as well, which will be up to, both will be up to 10 people.
Okay, 10, so 20, up to 20 employees for. the septic system.
That would be, the it'll be
For-
like
for-
up to 10 people
Yeah.
in the office, and then the shop will have its own septic
Yeah.
system as well, that will be a separate location down the road.
Okay, so capacity for, it's not like a 3-bedroom house, so I don't know. Usually, most of them are 1,000-gallon tank and
Right. 180 per bedroom or something like
It's
that.
like 270 gallons a day or whatever,
Yeah.
which I did the math just with our current property. And all of our employees would have to use the bathroom like 13 times a day to reach that gallonage. Nobody showering there.
Well, what I'm trying to
laundry
do-
there,
Yeah,
The
dishwasher's not running.
format's capacity of the septic system. So what should that, to be determined?
I think it's
I
just
think,
like
yeah,
average.
I think it's to be determined. Let's look at that, because I'm honestly.
That would be a septic designer that would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By design, I'll put that in there.
Yeah, that's something that for our current property, we run by a couple of the septic designers. And
Okay.
we're way under the usage
Yeah.
limit for that 3-bedroom system that's there.
The impact, quality of groundwater, additional use requirements.
I think we should just note comply with state requirements there on quality of groundwater. That's just runoff.
Moving on, visual screening, operators will not be visible from the butters or town roads.
I think it would be desirable if those,
If it's the case right now, you have plenty of trees everywhere, so can you maintain that screening?
Yeah, I mean, I can't get, with our commercial operation, I can't get closer to the road because it's that side that we're working on is very narrow. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get closer than 1,000 feet from 73, so. With the
Okay.
storage unit, that's a little bit closer, but, by design, our plan is to kind of have all perimeter units have one-sided entry, so the abutting properties won't have, there won't be light that way, there won't be light towards the road, it won't be in the property, and then we're gonna keep some screening there as well.
Okay,
so I think let's put yes then and say, as much as you can screen that from the road, that's great. Obviously, you have a sign, people can find it.
Yep.
That's part of the permit. But other than that, I think, keeping it looking woodsy there is
Yep.
good for everyone.
It's good for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
okay. Fences, condition around any commercial industrial operation. This is commercial. Storage visible from adjacent dwellings, fences, landscaping screening, trees, shrubs, and berms will be installed, yes, no, NA.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Landscaping required.
Well, that's part of it.
The
I
number
think-
2.
I think number 3 is also no. It's also NA.
Okay.
I mean, I assume you'll have some landscaping at your office building just to make it look nice, but.
Okay, I'll just sit around the office.
It shouldn't be required.
I don't think it's required.
No?
I think it's discretionary.
Okay. All right. Operations, type of service specifically limited to the scope, application increase, the scope will require a new update on the permit to be approved if the scope increases by the planning board. So we're gonna, if we approve this tonight, then any changes, here come see us, like, for example, of storage buildings, and we'll see the CEO at least.
Yeah.
Staffing number of employees,
Good, 20, right?
Yeah.
gonna go with 20. Okay, you're gonna have security there, fence or anything, cameras,
Yeah, I think
cameras? Okay, hours of operation, there's 3 categories here. They're asking for 24/7, like,
well, the storage will be 24/7 because people need to access their belongings, but the business, I'd actually recommend one first ask for, have 6 AM to 6 PM Monday through Saturday. And not do Sunday in church right there.
Okay, so,
Let's just do 6 AM, 6 PM, Monday to Saturday. Other than
how do you,
storage.
okay, so I'm gonna change this. I get it to- So we're gonna have the hours of operation will be Monday through Saturday. Six AM, 6 PM. Okay. Now. That'll be out, and then you work on, what I'm trying to think about is you do have. The plowing, things like that.
So
So,
we'll have to do, access trucks and equipment and sand.
okay,
Get this started on Sunday.
okay, I have that from the other permit. As needed type thing, the winter. So I'll just say for, I'll copy the old permit. The other thing, your, not your old permit, but permit on file. And I have it there. This is, I just want to review that real quick because this comes up later. Good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so with all hours for incidental material pickup such as sand and salt and plowing, that's satisfactory after 6 o'clock. Okay, I'll use that same term. Okay. Any exterior light will be designed to ensure safe movement and security by use of motion detectors. You got motion detector lights, yes or no? You don't have to have those.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer
Have
that
thought
not
about-
be a condition, just out
Okay,
of
no.
the yard, but out of the woods.
Okay, so no. All right. Every animal that walks by, set it off.
Oh,
Light-
like the storage facility, it'd be nice for that just to be somewhat lit up.
Okay, I skip the next line, so it just talks about that. External will be downward facing, illuminates sufficient and adequate safety and security.
I think that's a reasonable thing to say. Downward facing is important.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that's what we pitched in there.
Sound may comply with town ordinances, well, you're not in the shoreline, so there's no ordinance for that. But you wanted to, how big a sign would you like? I think you put 4 by 5,
Yeah, or 3 by 5 or 4 by 5, I can't remember what we put.
I think it was. The other permit is 4 by 5. You want 4 by 5?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay, now. Okay, noise, 65 decibels is the nearest property line. So that's the noise limit. I don't know how much those tailgates make, but you'd be a lot further away.
Yeah.
I know the light, the backups are required by the, state, everybody, OSHA. But 65 decibels is the top noise. Can't go at dusk beyond the property line, okay? And it also applies during the construction project. Read that. Prior resurfacing the access road used for water, tenting to mitigate dust, halt operation for wind direction or speed is not favorable. This is during construction. Okay. Odor control, there shouldn't be any odors out there. No. just gravel, so it should be in there on that.
And then,
Vibration. Okay. Rock crushing or other material crushed and screening.
Yeah, we'll be screening, aluminum, gravel, stuff like that.
Okay. And what days do you do that? I mean, how much are you gonna do?
It's, minimal.
Minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. I mean, out of the course of a year, maybe a week's worth, maybe a couple.
you want to say like
Which you got? You got
3 weeks a year?
Well, it'll be, when we
Different
get set up there, we'll have kind of a screen set up, and so on, like, days when somebody needs something to do, whatever, we'll be screening some gravel or topsoil, so I don't wanna.
Yeah, so maybe we just call it daylight operations only. Can we do that? Can we say we use not screening at 5 in the morning, but screening at 9 in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be during our
Yeah.
working hours, and our general hours are 7 to 4, so.
Do we want to make it 7 to 4? Or,
And I mean, you wouldn't hear a screen or even a crusher out there.
Let's call it 7 to 4 then.
okay. Just so we have something in case there's a complaint. Okay. And that would be Monday through Saturday? Okay. Okay, vibration. Applicant agrees to mount, what they have in here for this is applicant or agent will notify the CEO a minimum of 10 days prior to any rock material crushing or screening operations. CMAO at this time, at his or her discretion, allow operations to commit sooner than 10 days. In any event, the applicant must notify the CEO for approval. And this was put in for the gravel pit. So you can say yes, no, or NA. That way, if it seems like it's out of the way, we get,
I don't think that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense for your business. does it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a main thing for us. It's, like I said, it's more, maybe we might spend a few days here or there screening that we have planned, but it's more like, hey, we have a day open for a guy. Let's
Right.
screen material. Like it would be, I mean, it's not a main operation for
Yeah,
our
no
business.
crushing. You're not crushing.
We'll potentially be doing small amounts. I mean, not like a crushing plant, but if we have some extra rock, whatever, we can, it's not good for seawalls or rock walls that we do. We might run a crusher for a day and crush a little bit.
do you have a crusher?
No.
You got somebody there,
Yeah, we'd have to rent one. I mean, it's,
they're very expensive.
and that's something that we would plan on.
Yeah.
Well,
Screening is something.
screening is quieter than crushing, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So,
So why don't we just say if you can notify the town prior to crushing,
Mhm.
that way we can warn the abutters.
Yep, no, that's, yeah.
That'd be great. And I think, we'll just cross out screening there.
okay,
And then yes.
yes.
Um,
See above operation, any more things on that? Nuisance, see above operations, also any additional concern by the planning board
I guess
to
I
the
feel
nature
like
of this operation not listed above.
we want to make sure, I mean, I guess if we receive complaints, we can revisit, but, it seems like based on your location, it's probably gonna be fine, but we'll, that's the only thing that I would say is if there are complaints from the public.
Yeah.
We have to have another discussion.
Agreed, yeah. Like I said, I mean, you drive by JBI's quarry out off 97 and you're 300 feet from this pressure, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
And, with having 1,000 feet at least in every direction.
Yeah,
of trees, it's,
should be pretty safe. That's good to have that sort of thing in there.
Well, and I don't want to be a nuisance. And
Okay.
we bought that property.
Got it.
Okay, vehicle pedestrian access, this requirement, all operations will be limited to the conditions approved by these performance standards with regard to hours, days of operation. So we have that.
Yep.
Okay. Safe access, if required, the public will be restricted, controlled, and secured.
Yep.
So you're gonna have, kids running in there, on their ATVs and stuff.
That's a safety issue, right?
Safety, yeah. So you need, no keep out or whatever you gotta say.
Yeah, just close the gate when nobody's. super-
Yeah, there's signs there now.
Yeah.
We've already had some trespassers that we.
Okay, adequate capacity on the roads. I guess that would be 73. I think there is,
You're driving all your trucks on 73 now.
right.
I think evidence suggests.
Okay, added drummer drivers. So now that's gonna be a yes.
At least one.
Okay. Let's see, additional one. And give the entrance permit and all that stuff for that. State approval, I'd say DOT approval. Okay. Professional safe operations assist with the proposed use. So all other approvals and then license prior to operation. Do you need a license to operate a business down there?
I think you have, must be.
You already-
To the contractor.
Yeah.
Well, in the statement, there's no like.
There's no license.
for a contractor.
So I'm gonna say NA on that one. Okay, the one above it, other approvals.
That's just the DEP.
DEP. DOT.
Yep.
And anyone else would be involved with it? Yeah, we can put in fire chief. You might wanna look and see if we can get a truck in there, if you had a truck fire or something up there.
We can get a trial on there, I don't think.
I got included because he calls me a lot.
Yeah, no, that's an important one. I think, for that 60 by 60 office building, you probably will need state fire marshal approval on the plan, but that's.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that.
And let's put building.
It's just above a certain number of square footage. Like 3,000, small number, if it's a public building, you don't have a state fire marshal.
Okay.
permit.
I'm gonna put a building permit on this as well for that.
Yeah.
And structures. Okay, fire department access, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, South Thomas Township will verify that the site access is adequate prior to commencement of operations. The project will meet state and main fire codes for its intended use. So
Yep.
that's yes. Land conservation commission requirement, applicant will limit the mineral disturbance activity to a maximum of 2 acres for development project. This will comply with state and main provided guidance for erosion, groundwater, monitor, fuel storage, and reclamation. Now,
I think,
mineral disturbance, he's not mining there.
yeah, I think we can just cross out everything that we will need to provide, comply with the state of Maine guidance for erosion control. Well, I know, not for we probably don't need groundwater monitoring.
Okay,
I think that's covered by the DEP permits also, honestly. I think we can just say NA on that one,
okay,
NA on G.
NA on J.
Yeah.
Okay. Maintenance inspection of sewer facilities, that'll be a yes. Applicant agent will comply with all federal state requirements. And then the other conditional requirements that we won't need, want to add. We have the hours of operation, we have the lighting, we have the parking. We have the dust, the vibration,
Yeah, I think we've covered it and the noise,
and the noise.
so. Based on these standards, I think as long as, and we've said in several places.
I have a question. You do your own maintenance on your trucks?
Mhm.
So you do the oil changes and so forth?
Sure.
So, you do all the right things to dispose of the.
Yeah, we store in barrels and we actually drop it off to a couple of places they burn it for heating oil.
I think maybe that's something we should just add, proper storage and disposal of
Waste oils.
fuel, yeah, like fuel, solvents, hazardous materials.
Okay, I got proper storage of fuel, solvents, what was that?
And other hazardous materials.
And other hazardous materials. Okay. Anything else? So we got a little bit of work to do with the DEP, the code enforcement officer, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, the DEP doesn't require anything until we reach 3 acres.
Okay.
Impermeable surface.
All right, so,
But you need to clear that to build anything, right?
Where we need to clear land to use the property, but until we've reached 3 acres of like a gravel parking lot or a big parking lot or something like that, we don't need, DEP doesn't need a permit for that. Once it goes over 3 acres, which we can get there pretty quickly, but
okay,
Yeah, so I guess it's just a matter of, and I'm sure you're already doing this, be careful that you're not building something that's not gonna meet the requirements.
correct, yeah, I mean, yeah, as soon as we have a permit, we're meeting with
Okay.
Dorsey to get permitting going and get an as-built plan.
so we need a plan?
Yeah, the other condition, the other
Engineering plan?
condition I would say is, yeah, submit those Garland Dorsey plans to the town, when you have them, so people who have questions, like Mr. Erickson about your stormwater or something,
Yep.
can just have something to look at and just understand what's going on.
Why don't we, well, we want to make it the CEO of the town. What do you
The
think?
CEO.
CEO, okay. And any structures that you build will require additional building permits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, here, the decision of the above findings and with the specific conditions of the application for approval under the land use ordinance was approved, denied by vote of blah, for and against. The South Thompson Land Use Ordinance, Section 5, Paragraph B5 permits shall not be denied if the proposed use is found to be in conformance with the provisions of this ordinance. So it's a allowed use there. If anybody has opposition to it, the next route would be the Board of Appeals. And that's another town group, and they take it from there. So can we get a motion to approve this pending, I think we cited in here, already.
Sure, I'll move to approve these three applications, under the conditions that we place here, and pending the other required approvals.
Okay, can I get a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay, call the vote, Kathleen.
Yes.
Gabe?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that'll be 4 in favor. Approved. Okay, you're not out of the woods yet. You know, you got, well, we got actually 2 more. Yeah, got 2 more. But I mean, as far as this, there's quite a bit to go to get this finally done. All right, so, so now. I think we'll do your existing business next. Too late for everybody? Okay,
Getting there, but I think we can,
I think the last one's gonna be the. Okay,
we can pull that last permit right out of the top there.
Which one's that one? For
the
the,
left of Bartlett.
okay. Thank you for that. That make it,
I mean, that, we started that before we found this piece of land and everything. We're moving
all right.
out of there anyway.
So application,
I don't want to be there.
all right. So we're gonna-
Thank you, that makes life easier.
Okay, so
That one's been pulled, so we just need to vote on amending the permit that already exists to match the way the business currently.
currently is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then we do not need to review all the performance standards to do that.
Right.
I don't believe it.
No,
Well, and I think I had in there, hours of operation different than what the original were. And I want to
Okay, we can-
stick with the original. What that was,
this one,
That was 6 to 6, right?
6 to 6, Monday through Friday. I had it in there. On the one I thought I had in there. So I think
Okay.
on the original, we'll stick with Monday through Friday.
just want to make sure we lost it. Okay. This is for. So the 100 by 100 is this one, we won't use that.
Yep.
It's canceled.
Canceled.
Okay, now your existing business. Okay. So basically, we're gonna do,
We just need to touch on the areas,
where's the date? Let's go here. Now, just Travis, this property that you're on now, is that in Susan's name or your? Susan's name. Okay. And then the other one across just the street was you and Susan?
Yep.
Okay. If we got to that point, they would have had some questions about that. But anyway. We're gonna use 33 Bartlett Lane.
So what is the purpose of this permit? Because the office is already there, so what?
He's increasing his employees,
Okay,
is one thing, and he wants to look at his hours of operation.
No, that was the operation.
just the employees.
Yeah.
Just the employees.
It's the trucks as well, the number of trucks, right?
Yes,
The original permit required 20% change to equipment to get a new permit and be reviewed again.
it's gonna be an application to revise his, how do we return that? Construction business.
Is that the existing permit?
That's existing permit. This is-
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does the board have a copy of the existing
Yeah,
one?
right there.
Um,
I don't know if the board does,
with
but
the
I keep all these
conditions in the-
records.
In the back.
Either here or at my house. I have a copy of stuff in my house. I keep it double, but then I turn it into the photo officer once I get it all together.
So I'll just, I guess, highlight a few things from that then that would have to be addressed.
We can make you a copy of it. If you need a
No,
copy of the
well,
existing permit.
I've got it. I wanted to make sure.
We have, it,
Yeah.
we have it.
well, I'd like to hear what she would like to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut it off.
Okay, so at the time of that application, they had 3 or 4 employees. And it occupied slightly less than an acre of the 3 to 4 acre site. Business hours were 6 to 6, 7 days a week. Sounds like that's not changing. Equipment was light industrial, pickup trucks, backhoe, and 1 1-ton truck. A 20% change to this would require a new permit.
Right.
Other conditions that maybe have changed, I'm not sure. If storage of materials becomes visible to the main road and if neighbors complain, screening would be required. Septic review of more than 8 employees, so they've got more than 8 employees now, that would seem to trigger that. Sign hasn't changed, right?
No,
No, and I think that's it. It says, oh, and it says if the business increases 20%, the ingress and egress from Bartlett Lane could be renegotiated.
okay,
But you're not hoping to negotiate that? No, okay.
okay, so just to run down through this, DOT, DEP, wildlife impact, all those are NA now.
You don't have 3 acres of impervious, do you there?
No, we just, it's the lots roughly the same size as the.
Yeah.
They're bigger, but it's around 1 acre.
Is it work construction business? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put, the applicant's name will be you. But you and Susan on that one?
So to speak, man.
Just you, okay. Okay. And with the trust agreement address will be 33. Map and lot number, this one. 18. It's in the village 1 district, those 2,
Village.
this village. Okay. Okay, we got, we increased employees to 20. What is the other request that you mentioned?
The increase in truck traffic by the 20% for equipment
More than
content, I suppose, is the right way to put it.
Okay,
Greater number of pieces, greater number of pieces of equipment, and then
Septic review.
septic review for greater than 8 employees.
okay, so increase in 2020, increased truck traffic. Yeah, what was the one? The employees truck traffic,
The employees, septic,
septic, okay.
someplace.
Septic review.
Yeah, we've consulted with several septic designers on that. No, none of that has an issue. We've got systems currently there.
Do you have any letters or statements from them?
So,
I mean, we only have, there's only 2 employees in the office.
right,
Everybody else is in the field.
okay.
Same with half of our trucks. Our guys have company trucks that they take.
What kind of a septic do you have in there? Just curious.
It's a stone bed.
What kind of a septic? Is it like a tank there? or
There's a
leach
tank
field?
with a stone bed, yeah.
Oh, stone bed, okay. Could the CEO make an assessment of that, or we need to get somebody like that?
I think if you can just get an email or a letter from a qualified septic
Like
designer.
a, yeah, okay.
So we should just put that, well, make that a condition.
Okay. Okay, it is a commercial use. It wasn't an R1, now it's R2, village one. So is it a permitted use in the village?
I wonder, Chris, do you have a thought on this? Where, so the answer to that question is no, it's not permitted use.
Now.
Because it's over 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was an R1 when he established it.
Okay.
So
So
I'd say,
it's a non-conforming use.
Yeah, no,
And what your ordinance says is that a non-conforming use can expand to the property boundaries,
okay,
which is actually way more lenient than most ordinances.
Yeah.
So,
no,
yeah,
very
it does seem to allow it to have grown to the extent that it did, except for that it should have been permitted.
okay. There's someone writing non-conforming use within the property boundaries.
In the property boundaries.
Yeah. Unless, is it permitted in the village district? No, I guess, I can write down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not- So it's a. just-
I'll just, what I'm gonna do is I'll probably stick this here in there.
Yep, it's a
Okay.
non-conforming use.
Okay. Land use ordinance findings complies with dimension requirements, section C. Yes, no.
It does.
It does. It's 1 acre, and you have how many there? 3? 3. It's one a much bigger place than it is. Everything else goes along, another campground. Lighting is, any increase in light from your last permit?
We were asking for 2 more lights, but we're not putting it. We
Okay,
just put it at the original 3 lights.
3. I'll just put it in there.
Sorry, Chris, there, you never put any.
No.
Well, it was one of the things where when they first came in, it was discussed that, you may be loading salt trucks at night, or so sand trucks, and need lighting out there. Okay. On industrial use. What is that? Off-street shall provide sufficient spaces determined by the planning board, so that we have that. Outpatient treatment. Conforms with comments, final comment, does or does not recommend changes to the zoning here. Well, it does not,
Not anymore.
not anymore. Okay, Constable also does or does not recommend any changes to the permit uses district. I would say it does not as well.
Yeah, because the district already changed.
It's already changed. Okay, and he was there prior to that.
Yeah.
Based on the bill findings, the application does or does not conform to the comprehensive plan.
It does not,
Does not, but he's
but he's already there.
grandfathered, I guess. Okay. Special zone conditional use, additional conditions formally may in order to carry out the purpose of special zone proceeding require additional conditions. Specification criteria standards necessary to protect the public interest. If it's such use harmoniously and compatible in the neighborhood, location, such conditions may include but are not limited to increased setbacks. The state of Maine requires, I would put 6 feet, but
Yeah, we don't need, no, we don't need any increased setbacks here.
so anyway, no, we don't. So,
You can say, maintain operations within current limits,
okay,
current extents, sorry. But you're not trying to expand your operation on that property, right? You're focusing on another one.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna be more specific about that, so if these representatives approximately 1 acre, just say to approximately 1 acre.
That's fine, yeah, within current extents approximately 1 acre,
in operations, would you say, yeah?
within current extents. Approximately 1 acre.
Okay, do you have water there? Have a well? And then the septic system is yes,
And then it's just say provide
provide.
a letter from qualified, septic designer. Indicating that current system is adequate for current use.
Impact on quality, water, groundwater conditional requirements. Let's say no. Okay. Okay.
Is there any additional laydown and materials than there was back when the first permit was granted?
For-
That, you know, material storage does have an impact on groundwater typically, so I'm just wondering if that's a new component of the operation.
No, I mean, it's no more than what was originally permitted. Correct, it's actually probably less for kind of material off that site.
Okay.
Material storage.
So you're gonna be moving the stuff basically on the left side down here. Okay.
Yeah, it does here say slightly less than 1 acre, material storage, and the original permit.
So that was.
It's-
We need.
It appears the same.
Appears the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The visual screening, I think we have the same condition as the previous
What's that one say there?
permit.
And we got some trees
Just a
growing.
procedural question, Christian, are we issuing a new permit or are we?
We're amending.
I would say you're amending it.
Amending it.
Well, actually, the way that the original permit was worded, it said that increase by 20% required a new permit. So I guess to that extent it is. But
I'm
if
just
we're
wondering
kind of
if we have
splitting
to-
hairs.
if we have to make sure, I just want to make sure if we need to incorporate all these original conditions again.
One way or the other, I would just focus on changes, those standards that you think have incrementally changed
Okay.
somewhere.
All right, and operation will not be visible from abutters or town roads. Right now, yes, right?
It is visible.
It is.
It is visible.
Fair.
Okay,
So does the board want to require any additional screening?
you have some trees growing there now.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Not really.
And that's it.
We,
We're gonna be,
I'm gonna throw something out there.
yeah,
There are obviously a bunch of impacts from this facility and it's kind of hard to get around. They've represented they could be there for a year and then be gone. What if the board allowed what they're doing to continue for a year without material changes? It's silly to make them, for instance, plant a whole bunch of trees to screen it. But then, you know, hopefully they've moved to the other facility. If they haven't by a year, they need to come back and we go back through these standards. I don't know if that would be acceptable to
any comments? You look next
the
door.
butters.
So originally, it's much more than 20% increase.
Not than what we had permitted. It's more than 20% of what we originally had for a lot, but not more than what we had for permits.
Well, I'm talking about the original.
The equipment.
wording,
The equipment.
The original equipment and whatnot.
And what was there, it's more than a 20% increase, so we need a new permit. It's more than a 20% increase.
All right, yeah.
We're in agreement on that.
So I think in terms of the equipment, that's maybe a different ball of wax to get into, but the
Well,
stuff that's
and the
like,
whole conversation at that wasn't about equipment or trucks or employees. It was 20%, over 20% growth in what we had permitted for a lot.
Yeah, well, let's say.
I know the wording there,
that's
but
not how I read the.
the conversation in the planning board meeting was 20%, more than 20% growth of the lot. They never referenced trucks, equipment, employees, anything in the planning board meeting.
He's
What
correct
was
on
typed
that.
up.
I was there.
That
I wasn't
it was
project
a
chairman.
20% physical area,
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what was intended.
that's what was.
I mean, the way it's
discussed.
written, it definitely sort of refers back to all the other limitations. It makes it seem like it's more scope of use not
I'm in-
just there.
I'm in 100% agreement with that,
With
of
waivers.
what was talked about, what was agreed upon in the planning board meeting, given what was typed up.
So one way or the other, though, I mean, you only have approval for what you said you were doing, the scope of what you had at the time. To the extent that's increased over time, you know, you don't have a permit for that, so the board is looking at that increase, which means you gotta look at the increase in the noise, the increase in the
Right.
you know, the screening problems, whatever. So the screening, again, I think, you know, it seems like there's a problem. It's kind of silly to make them install a bunch of screening if they're going to be out in a year. So maybe you time limit that. But the vehicle traffic and all of that, I think you need to look at just in terms of whether it's a nuisance today and whether you think it needs to be limited today.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, we haven't quite got there.
Yeah,
yet.
that's it, yeah,
So I
I
think
guess.
visual screening, I think we'll just say. I mean, final point of clarification. All this stuff, essentially, this entire approval and could have a time limit of a year. So we're not trying to like put weird time limits on certain conditions and make it confusing. But, so we'll finish going through this whole thing, and then we'll agree on the time period for which we're permitting it. Make sure it lines up with your plans. And then
Okay.
hopefully it all shakes out.
Move on.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we'll just continue beyond.
So sorry, but about the screening, you're not going to require any screening?
We can,
Well, here's the question. The parking area is right outside the kitchen door.
right,
The employees all park, so you're gonna keep the office there, Travis?
And for a little while, but the office employees don't park next to your house. 3 employees do, which our permit covers. Everybody else has a company vehicle. They were, and then you're reducing business size.
can we move those trucks? Can they park in another, on around the back or something to get away?
Well, it's, for safety reasons, we have our employees park there, so
So cars will be
they're
here.
not in the, with the
Yeah.
trucks.
What I was thinking is if that was gonna remain an office, there's no screen.
On that side.
The parking area, there, so, but they're not gonna stay there.
Are you happy? Any other, I know you're happy, but. What would you like, is any recommendations that you had?
Well, Travis and I spoke, he told me what his plans were, coming up. I had previously talked to a code enforcement
Mhm.
person who worked for the town. And they just let me tell me the permitting information. So, things have exceeded the permit, so after a while, so like I said, just, we don't have a problem with Travis Susan and that they're doing well in business, but it has taken on a piece of the right away.
Right.
It's quite disturbing to us.
Oh, I
But,
understand.
if he's moving the operation, that's fine,
Well, that's what we're trying to give a chance to do.
quickly.
Well, Mike, we also had a conversation, I told you a couple months ago that we were doing this. And we're moving the business down there, and getting all this operations off of his property.
Where he wants to go to isn't allowed use for his operation.
Right.
Where he is now, if he's grandfathered, but he crossed the road where Ted's house is, I guess, he's gonna abandon that site or use it for something other use. And then, so my question to you is, can you live with it for a year or something? Is there any little things that we could do that don't cost, make it better over there?
I would say, we'll deal with it for, long as, getting this other property together.
Yeah.
As long as. But, so the concern was we got the letter, because Travis and I had a conversation, and I was confused because we got a letter saying we wanted to change the permitting on the existing site. So I was, understand,
His business
say,
grew.
Then, we'll like, we can change use, permit
Right.
here, so that's.
If we had done 20 trucks and hours of operation, whenever that was done 4 or 5 years ago, then we would be, you know, he was already in the R1. But since, you know, this has come about because of the noise and you know, the neighbors and stuff, so we're trying to basically bring his permit up to date, that we really can't refuse it, okay, because he's already there. So that
Everything is moving in the right direction. It's just a matter of time. If people can agree on the timeline, then everybody's concern is gonna be
Yeah, the
resolved.
only reason for the new permit application is to come in line, but I don't want to be doing this permit. I don't care about this piece of property for my business.
Yep.
It's the requirement
He's
from
there
the
now.
town.
It's an administrative.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's, with that in mind, I recommend that we move through it quickly.
okay.
Everyone has been sitting here.
I think there's some people in the back that need to talk to us too.
Everyone has been
real
sitting,
quick. All right,
sitting here
so,
for a while.
all right, any fencing, visible adjacent dwelling, fencing, landscaping, screening trees. So will be installed. Is there gonna be NA?
That's NA.
Okay,
Same thing with fences and landscaping.
okay, that's it.
Number of employees is now up to
Staff.
13. How many employees do you have right now?
Yeah, we have 12, 13, something like that.
13 employees.
Okay,
Um,
and you were asking for?
I mean, there, say up to 15, like.
Yeah, 15 and
somewhere.
Okay,
This
um,
will help, but we're
you
not-
gave me the number.
Under security, maintain existing security measures. Hours of operation. Right now we have right now it's Monday to Friday, 6 to 6. Yes,
Yeah,
even with that.
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes work on the weekends, but we're not working there. We Get a truck and.
And good, yeah.
We generally don't work on the site.
okay. So we'll just say Monday to Friday, 6 to 6, but you do work a little bit on Saturdays?
Well, we're not working there, we're just driving trucks or equipment.
Yeah, with all hours, each now we'll pick up with the sand.
Last time we had agreed that the old hours would be kept, which was Monday to Friday, 6 to 5 PM, occasional use for salt
6 to 6.
on Sundays, for salt and sand. Saturday and
Okay.
Sundays.
So what I'll do is, we're gonna have Monday to Friday, 6 to 6. And then the,
Occasional use on Saturday and Sundays for salt and sand.
okay. Okay. I'll put in the same thing for that weekend. Lighting, we, I'll say yes, no motion detectors for that. And, okay. You have your signs already?
Yeah.
Decibels, 65 decibels.
Yeah, dust, same thing.
Dust. Okay,
Odor and vibration, odor no. You don't have you're not screening material there, right? So then no screening, no crushing.
okay. This is gonna be, no. Just get up to material crushing. Screening, limited daylight operation only,
No screening.
no screening either.
No screening, no crushing.
Okay. Okay, sorry, vibration,
Not applicable.
this is a nuisance.
And I think obviously there is some concern. I don't know what we,
In addition to this, the question is, also additional concerns by the planning board, this is for nuisances.
I would put.
Due
I
to
would
the
put
nature
something along the lines of like operations may continue for a period of 1 year, but if additional complaints arise, like we may be revisited sooner. Something, I don't know, just to make sure that.
Okay,
That's, I mean, but that becomes an enforcement
Issue.
issue. That's a little bit too loose to require them to come back to the planning board.
Yeah, I
if
mean,
there's a complaint.
Not
So
a complaint, but-
it would make more sense, like if they're complaining they're getting woken up at 6 o'clock every morning with the tailgates, that you would move the loading and unloading hours to 7 or something more, strict than that.
okay, did you want to have it continue for 1 year? Or we need,
I think maybe we just need to like, if you guys are okay with the timeframe of them just moving out, and maintain their operations as they currently stand. And then if that period of 1 year starts to drag on, then we'll talk about changing the rules.
I think I would word that condition that, the whole permit for the increased use is valid for a year.
Yeah, so that's at the bottom.
And if it's to continue for another, or for any longer period, they have to come back, at which point the board can totally reevaluate all the standards.
Yeah.
okay,
Let's do traffic is fine.
traffic's okay.
No added
No.
driveways.
Nope. Let me see. Projects publicly restricted, yes. Applicants on the road, yes. No driveways. Professional safe operation system proposed use. All other approvals. I don't think we really need any of those for this. Acquired license, and fire department, I think he knows it's there.
Yep.
So
That's NA, G is NA,
he is in, right?
H is yes, just.
Okay. Inspection of sewer facilities is yes.
And
H,
here are the other additional conditions, is I'm gonna put the time limit on there, I believe,
okay,
which is, this above conditions. Permit with above conditions valid for 1 year. If operations continue beyond 1 year, a new permit is required. The board may reevaluate all of the above conditions.
permit with the above conditions is valid. One year. And what was the rest of it?
If operations continue on this site beyond 1 year, a new permit will be required, and the board may reevaluate all of the above standards.
Design, okay. Reevaluate. The permit? The application?
The performance standard.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's it for that. Decision based on the above plan was certain conditions of application approval under the land use ordinance is approved or denied. We have to vote. We will have a motion.
Move to approve this permit with a time limit of 1 year and the subject to the conditions that we just imposed.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, and Kathleen, any other discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes,
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 we're all.
yes. Okay. So we'll do that. Like I said. And the same statement as before, the South Thomas Land Use Ordinance section 4 paragraph 5 permission will not be denied if the proposal is achieved in compliance with provisions of this ordinance. So we have to let him have his rights. Okay. Now,
I apologize, but I have to go.
okay, I'm gonna listen to you ladies. I'll take my time. So,
Am I of any help for this, or shall I?
you can listen to me.
I would rather go home, but I can be of help. I'll
They're just gonna give
gladly
a presentation. Okay, thank you.
I didn't have enough time for you to say that.
Okay.
We want to save money to the town.
You have a new baby, that's an excuse.
Well, but I do want to see what's on the floor.
Yes, well, I'm setting that.
Sure. I gotta go Thursday to Texas for 2 weeks and I'll be back around the 8th. So I'll be here for the next meeting. The next meeting will be
It's coming early next month.
September 15th.
Yeah.
Okay. 15th is the next meeting.
So we should finish there before.
Okay.
This is the social welfare plan.
Yeah, go ahead, that's great. Thank you.
You should be able to read pretty well. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Well, Ted, he's moving away from you. Still got a little. Are these rustic keys?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here's the other ones. Spread operations. We do, the other one. I did review today the solar plant. One guy I want. And I thought there was a project. manager. So I went up there and it was real nice to, because I got a call from the fire chief that he wanted to, said you may drop your hat there. He hadn't heard from him, so I went up and spoke to him. I talked to Dan about it, but his phone was ringing like about 20 times that day, so I said, well, I better, so I was curious, it's unofficial, I didn't do anything, I didn't recommend
Are
it.
the panels there?
The panels are not there, but the frames are on.
Okay.
So if you'd like, you can look at it, you know, he offered to give me a tour today, but it's raining. So it might be something we could look at sometime, because we're doing another one, and it kind of gives you an idea. Okay,
Hi, evening.
my name's Eric Curtis.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Heather Swazzy Ward with TRC, representing the South Thomaston PV LLC solar project. My colleague this evening is Rose Kristen. And so the project applicant isn't able to be here tonight, so apologies for that. We met with Dan Bates and Fire Chief Calderwood, I think it was probably 3 weeks ago now. Yeah, so you met Mark Chrysos is the point of contact for the applicant. So in South Thomaston PV LLC, the applicant is a wholly owned subsidiary of Summit Ridge Engineering. Summit Ridge Energy. They're a solar developer. I'll try and be brief because I know you guys must be on to the long night. So really we're just here for a pre-application meeting. Just to give you a quick high-level introduction to us, the team, and also just to tell you a little bit about the proposal. Rose passed out the application copies. So hopefully you'll find that everything's in there and complete, but, so the project, proposed project area is down on 652, St. George Road, which is 130, the intersection of 131, and if you know where Apple Tree Lane is, it's right at that intersection, the property there, it's 2 lots, about 210 acres in total, map 7, lot 19 and 21. The project area itself is only, it's going to be less than a 20-acre solar array. So this, just to kind of orient you here, this is 131, I think we're down here somewhere, but 131 here, this is Apple Tree Lane here. Lot 19 here, and lot 21. So they're abutting lots. We're proposing to use an existing dirt road that goes into the project area. It's roughly set back about 4,500 linear feet. So it's set back quite a ways. The actual solar array proposed area is here. So as you can see, it's, it's very well hidden from 131 and then any abutting properties as well. So the array area itself is roughly 13 acres. There will be a safety fence surrounding the solar arrays. There'll be access trackers, so they'll track the sun. So it's the development in that regard is able to be a little bit more condensed than a fixed tilt. There'll be 1 utility pad associated with the proposal, and it's fairly small. It's about a 20 by 20 precast concrete skin pad that the transformer will be, mounted onto. We went through all the standards. We understand that this is a commercial development and that the town of South Thompson, you all have solar standards. So we did go through those. You'll find everything in that package, hopefully to your liking and, acceptance. So we meet the height restriction. It's, the tallest.
25 feet.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're 12. We meet the setbacks, screening, safety fencing. We consulted with the fire chief and Dan. We do have a decommissioning plan that's included in the package, and we understand that, the town asked for a performance guarantee of 150% of the total estimate, so.
Excuse me, I just read something today, actually, that for a project like that, now the bond for decommissioning is held by the state. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the state passed back in July of 2021, a solar decommissioning law.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've got, all the standards that decommissioning law requires are in that decommissioning.
I believe the current one is held by the state too.
It is, okay, good.
Yeah, and it can be like a co-obligee, like if the town were to also want to hold that, the state does allow for that. So they do have some flexibility, but you're right, it's primarily the state, unless the town steps in and says they'd like, like some ownership of that as well. It's a 1.99 megawatt AC project. It's a community solar project, so residents can, purchase into the program. So there'll be some local benefit to that. Participants will get a reduction in their bill, and Mark Kuzos can talk a little bit more about that part of it. I can just tell you real quick that we do impact some wetlands. We're not required to have a state DEP permit because we're under the 4,300 square foot threshold for wetland permitting, but we will be triggering a federal Army Corps permit if they even 1 square foot and they require a permit. It'll be a stormwater PBR because there's under 1 acre of total disturbance. And we're not exactly positive about the DOT permit because we're using the existing driveway and only widening it by a couple feet. But because it's a change of use, we may be required to get a permit done. Construction timeline is about 3 to 6 months. And have you any questions?
What's your timeline for starting the project? once approved, I guess.
Yeah, I think, the plan is, later in the fall.
Okay.
And,
But don't quote me on that, that's really, the applicant can speak to that, but we can get you that.
have
Well-
you checked with CMP to hook up your production to the
Yeah,
network?
they've gone through, the interconnect process. I'm not sure where they're at with it, but I know that, the studies have been done and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't.
Some
all-
problems in some areas that they didn't have the capacity and stuff like that.
Yeah, right, even after the studies were done, yeah, that has been an issue, but, I do know that they've taken steps to address that, and things are moving in the right direction. I don't know exactly where they're at with the interconnect process, but I know that, they're in consultation with CMP. That's a good question, though.
Who
Sometimes
is
that's
the
over.
parent company of your project?
It's Summit Ridge Energy.
And are they a subsidiary of another bigger firm or?
Not to my knowledge, but South Thomaston PV LLC is a wholly owned subsidiary to Summit Ridge. They have a really great website that may tell you a little bit more about Summit Ridge. Unfortunately, Mark Bezos, he could tell you. the
Why is
details.
this an attractive area?
It's an attractive area. It's really well hidden. So solar is quiet inherently anyways. There's no lighting. There's really no noise to speak of. The transformer might output a little bit of noise, but
But why South Thomaston? Because the land is cheap?
I think there's many different factors, but I know that interconnect is a huge one. So it has to do with power loading and the grid capacity. So I know that
Sufficient analysis.
that plays into it. There's a lot of different factors, land availability, like you said, interconnect availability, low in wetlands, flat site. There are a lot of constraints that are factored in when developers are.
So
looking for
you're
land.
going to raise 13 acres?
It'll be under 20. So the fenced area is 13.4 acres, but the overall developed area will be under 20 because we don't want to trigger any site location of development act permitting. Just don't, it's not we don't want to move into that tier of a project. So the total land disturbance. Yeah, this says 19.9 acres. Tree clearing is 17 acres. And then the fenced area is 13.3.
We will trigger a public hearing. I think on this,
Yeah,
so we'll do that.
so I noticed that no abutter notice is required that I could see, but we talked about noticing abutters anyways, just out of.
We will out of
courtesy.
this project, yeah.
Okay,
We'll see who they are.
is that something the applicant should plan to do, or?
We normally do that as a board. Some towns make the applicant do it, yes. But
Yeah,
we do it because then we know that they're mailed and
okay,
from the town.
okay,
That has been discussed, yeah.
so the town will take care of
We'll
that.
take a look at the 500 feet, so.
Yeah.
Nobody would.
Yeah.
We'll get that.
Yeah, we provided an abutter list, you'll see in
Okay,
the last.
that'd be helpful.
Yeah. And we got the names from the Newtown records.
Okay.
From everybody, so
Have you
that's,
contacted them already or?
No.
no. And we're hoping to try and get on the September 15th
Okay, that's possible.
agenda.
What we'll do is, we have a limited board here, we short a couple members, so.
Is it for, I think it's,
Four, but
is it forum?
yeah, but I work at sea, so
Yeah,
I won't be here
Right.
after, I'll be here for the September meeting, but I won't be for October, November. December, I'll be back, so that's not too late for you we could work start on it and we could finish it. You can work on it with the rest of the board, but they might prefer that I'm here for this, but that's up to them. They can,
So how does it work? So we have tonight and then September.
well, you can
15th.
do the presentation, so that's great. And then, what I'm thinking is how to squeeze in I don't think we can squeeze in a public hearing.
Why not?
We could, I guess. We could have one before the next meeting and do it all.
Just like we did tonight.
Yeah, we could do that. Okay,
So public hearing potentially on the 15th
Yes.
before the planning board meeting.
if you'd like, we can do it then, and we won't hold you up.
I think
But I
that
have
would
a-
be, if you all can accommodate that, I think that'd be good.
We can do that, and then we can look at the performance standards then. And then any questions, I can review this.
Yeah, given that they have done all the prep work, I think it's only fair that we move on it.
Okay,
All right.
great. I think you'll find that mostly everything is, we've outlined all the performance standards and addressed them as best as we could. So hopefully,
So just to review, you're saying you're not, you don't need a DEP review here for this project?
so we'll need what they call a Natural Resource Protection Act, PDR, permit by rule, and that's because, there's a stream here.
Yeah.
There's an existing road and an existing culvert, which is
Okay.
staying in place,
We
but
can do a tentative approval pending that,
Pending on.
anything
Okay.
like that.
it's only a 14-day approval for DEP. It's a very small permit.
If
And
you
then
could get
there's
it
a
beforehand, it'd
stormwater
be great.
permit too.
If you get it before, it'd be great.
Okay,
If you get it before next week, that'll give you about a month to get it.
okay, we might
If
be
you
able to
can.
do that. Yeah.
And then anything else you think of, Dan, that they might need from the state? Okay.
And then I had a quick question on the land use permit, the fee structure. That's like a building permit, right?
Terry and Dan can fix you up on that.
Yeah, it's like, I think we're 10 cents every square foot.
Is it square foot of the building
It
or,
would actually be of your solar structure itself, your panels.
okay,
Would
okay,
be the fence too,
What does that do?
because that would be a structure.
I hate to say
The fence,
The fencing.
the fence, I don't think that it is. No.
and I can
Okay.
look at, if you have definitions of structure, that might be helpful.
We have fencing in the,
In the structures,
yeah.
I thought there was like a permit for different lengths of fence up front.
That there is, yeah.
Yeah, there may be some to the fence.
Yeah.
Some charge for that. I don't think it's a big charge, is it?
No, I don't think it's much, but yeah, it probably would be the fencing and the panels. And then it will bring
Is it
the
just the support part or,
the square footage of the panels.
I don't think that's like it.
okay.
Okay, well then, do you have any, I don't really have any questions. I'm gonna look through this. So then we'll have to set up, get some letters out. And again, and then, I don't know how many butters are around there.
The list is in there. I know
Within the
it's
500 feet?
all- Yeah, within, yeah,
Okay?
Yeah.
We'll get those out and then, I'll have to schedule a public hearing prior to the next planning board meeting.
Yeah.
Is there any particular day or night? I'd be gone, I'm gonna leave, I gotta go 2 weeks to see my son in Texas. I'll be back in September the 8th.
Well, we
We can have it just before the meeting,
yeah, just before the meeting.
like you did tonight, okay. So another 5:30,
5:30.
public hearing on the solar. And then we'll go through the form standards that night.
Okay, just as you did tonight. very
This
similar.
night. And I think you're the only one on it so far for next month,
Oh, yeah.
so you'll be first on the list,
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
okay? And I'll review this. We've done one before,
Mhm.
like I say, up there, we had a little notification issue with the fire chief, but you've already talked to him. And I did speak to the project manager up there today, just because me and Dan had discussed it and it
Yeah.
was a real busy day for him, so.
Yeah.
I was curious to see what they had up there. So, and I called the fire chief, told him to go see the guy. So hopefully that'll calm everybody's nerves.
Yeah,
All right. And did I talk to you on the phone? Was it the?
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
I think
Yes,
so, yep.
I think so, yes, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
A while back.
All right, girl, it's late.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn the
Yes.
meeting. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to
Thank you.
adjourn the
Second? Second, all in favor?
Hi.
Great, thank
Okay.
you.
Very good, but thank you everybody for coming. I know it's long.
Too far from.
Yeah.
We have a